Doesn't matter if you're graduating kindergarten, middle school, high school, college. Doesn't matter if you're the number one in class or the number 184th. Everyone says you're on to another chapter. You're on to a new thing. You're going to be growing. You're going to be doing. Congratulations. You could be going for your nursing degree at UNH. You could be going for um, paralegal. You could be going for political science. You could be going for ballet. Doesn't matter. Everyone keeps telling you, here's the new chapter. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what you're doing. And they're right. They're right in some aspects. But here's what we forget. As a Gen Xer, I was told when my 8th grade graduation happened, you know, don't screw up in high school or you're never going to live past it. When I graduated high school, I wasn't expected to go to college. I wasn't expected to do anything. I was expected to basically, have some babies, get married, and work in a factory. There was no expectations. Now, my friends, some of them had expectations. Their family wanted them to go to college, or they already got into college, or you know, my family's always done this. I didn't have that. And some of you don't have that either. Um, you don't have that because your parents never had it, so they don't know how to encourage you to do more. Some of your parents don't think you can, but they don't want to say that to you directly. They don't be like, "Hey, you're a loser. You can't do it." But here's what I learned as a Gen Xer: we could do almost anything and get away with it. There's not a lot of Polaroids left over from 1984. Um, most things that we did wrong disappeared because the World Wide Web, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok didn't exist. So we could do what we wanted. But maybe that is what messed us up. And it messed us up because we knew there wasn't a lot of ramifications for things that we did. We always thought there'd be the mail. We always thought there would be Blockbuster or Home Vision Video or other places to rent movies. We always thought that you'd have a landline with a cord, sometimes cordless if you're a big spender. We always thought that the best way to communicate with people would be in person. And school was always in school. There was always school books. You could have an encyclopedia in your house, a whole group of them, and that meant you were somebody. Um, but that was the 80s. In 1989, I started high school, and I met a teacher who reminded me, or really told me for the first time, that I wasn't an epic failure. He told me, reminded me, showed me that just because I came from a literal trailer in West Kennebunk, just because I had no friends, no money, no clout, no content to show, nothing, it didn't mean I couldn't be anything. He was my history teacher, my math teacher, but mostly my history teacher. That's really where it clicked. And he kind of showed me that history is a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. He used it in the Christian term of his story being God's and Jesus' story of beginning, middle, end. And he used to always say, "What is your chapter in God's story?" Now, if you've been my student, or you think you've been my student, or you've heard me talk more than once, um, I bring this up. And I bring it up again today because you guys are graduating. Um, Graduating high school, going to college. Now, in high school, your teachers are telling you things like, in college, they're not going to da 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 da. And it's true to a point. In college, here's what's going to happen. They're going to be like, hey, you got this thing due. Turn in, don't turn in. We don't care. We get paid either way. High school, in schools below that, the teachers get paid a certain way. So basically, you keep your job if your students do well on testing and if you have a high rate of kids passing your class. College, they don't care. You're going to have professors who are there for the paycheck. You're going to also have professors there that are there because they want to be there. Most of you know that when I did teach you, either now or in the past, I didn't do it for the money. I was a very late in life teacher. I didn't do it for the clout because there's no clout in being a teacher. I did it because I have a passion for teaching. My ways of teaching, not really normal per se for the academic world. I like using techniques that some people found um, abnormal. Everything from laser pointers for the maps to having you dress up as King George or other beautiful characters to having you run for class office and making stickers to stick on my computers and having you run commercials and having you do news broadcasts with green screens and having you do coding and having you do all this different stuff. And I wasn't teaching you for names and dates and locations. And a lot of you know this because I've probably told you this a million times. I always told you and other students, and if you haven't had me as a teacher, well, welcome. Um, I want you to be a better human. I want you to make the world a better place. Here's the thing. The human race, we're really good at destroying not just life, everything. Since the invention of fire, we're really good at blowing things up and destroying things. In World War II, we dropped a bomb, and everyone's like, oh my lord, the world's coming to an end. World War III, 1962, that almost happened. Thankfully, it didn't, but it almost did. But since 62, we really haven't had a lot of threats. Our big threat now is this. It's what you're watching it on. It's phones, social media, the dreaded AI, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. We see, because we don't destroy countries anymore, we destroy each other. I used to tell you guys I wanted you guys to be better people than I was. I wanted you guys to make the world a better place than I did. I'm not a perfect human. I've explained in the past how imperfect I really am. But I try. I make effort to be better. I make effort to try to make the people around me better. But that isn't the case for everybody. There's a lot of people in this world who don't care about their fellow human. There's some of you watching this that you care so much that when others tell you that they don't care about you or about anything about you or your family or your friends, or they put you down or they make fun of your life, it hurts more than others. To those people, I say, suck it. Okay, I know some parents are watching. I know you. Okay. Um, Back in one of the schools I taught at before COVID hit, there was this big thing about you matter. You're important. You're special. You are who you're meant to be. And the people who are out there who think that they can be negative, that they can put you down, that they can run rampant on who you are just, they need more love than they could ever imagine. You see, in today's world, we feel like there's only two ways to be seen. You either have to be so spectacularly awesome that the world can't miss you, or you have to be so angry, so full of vitriol, that the world can't ignore you because they're afraid of you. The people who destroy others, no matter what age, and they don't do it because, hey, this person did something bad to me. They do it because they think it's fun. Those are the people who might get ahead in the real world. They might, become up and coming. But it doesn't mean they're good people. You see, the world is run not by the 1%. They're not run by the people who are like that. Those are the people who get the attention. The people who run this world, who keep it moving, are the people who are nurses, dancers, political scientists, theater, just practical jobs, accounting. And I know if you just heard me say theater, and if you know anything about me and you've been my student, theater is not something, it's hard for me to say, right? Here's the deal. Do what brings you joy as long as you don't live in a cardboard box. I want you to succeed. Now, the whole Dr. Seuss thing that's going to be played up 47,000 times during your ceremonies. You will succeed. You will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Kid, you'll move mountains. You're going to fail. No one in a long, long time is born, goes through all their schooling, gets out of school, hits the ground running, and never has a hiccup. Those people we talked about, the people who are, snot-nosed little brats, the people who are mean, here's what happens to them when they hit the bump. They move back home with their mommy and daddy. They go on social media and they post that the world is coming to an end and that the world hates them and the world wants them to fail. And it's because, they make gains and all that garbage. They blame the world. They blame everybody but themselves. And they don't learn from their actions. They just continue. Well, it worked. Just the world didn't like it that I was succeeding. No. Here's what you will do. And the reason I know some of you will do this because, well, I know you enough. I know a Layla and a Lila, and I know a Charlotte and a Barrett, and I know a Nick, and I know a Haley, and I know a Cameron, and I know others. And I know that I have put challenges in front of all of them. from being King George III to the periodic table to presidents to states and their capitals to a world map that college students couldn't pass to COVID. I have pushed you all. I have had students tell me I would never teach them and they would never learn from me, and they learned. Why? Being a good teacher isn't about the plaque on the wall. Being a good teacher isn't about, well, I went to school for 6 years or 8 years or 27 years. It's, are you willing to meet the students where they're at the level they're at? Or are you going to go in there feeling like you're better than them? The people who pick on other people negatively are the going to turn into teachers who feel like they're better than their students. They're there for a paycheck. They don't care about the students. The teachers I taught with are not like that. The teachers I respect and I remember, they weren't that type. David Negrassi didn't teach because the paycheck was amazing. He didn't teach because he felt like he was smarter than everybody else. He taught because he knew he had a gift and he wanted to give it to somebody. That's why I taught y'all. I didn't have you learn all the states and their capitals and the presidents and their vice presidents and their times in office and the periodic table and the King Georges and the Hamiltons and the all of the above. I did not do that so I could feel better than you. Though some of your parents probably thought that. I did that because I wanted to show you the world as a whole. When you're in New Hampshire or Maine or Virginia or Texas, sometimes you get stuck in the world that you're living in and you don't see the rest of it. You don't see all of it. The world is a big place. It's round, well, kind of. It's not flat. Sorry, y'all. And there are places on this planet people haven't been to yet. We can say, oh, we've explored all the known world. Well, it's called all the known world because that's all we know. There's more there. And tomorrow someone could find something new, and the next day and the next day. And it's amazing. When you fail, and you will, when you fail, you have two options: get up, look back, go, okay, what happened? What can I do differently? What am I going to do different? Or you can say, wah, the world hates me, and take your ball and go home. If you were my student, that's not you. See, Charlotte would not take her ball and go home. Barrett wouldn't do that either. Why? Because they would be like, listen, guys, I bombed this. I don't know what I did, but someone help me and they'll figure it out. They won't go, well, I'm too proud to ask Mr. M or Miss McGregor or anybody else, anybody, Mr. P, what did I screw up? How do I do better? And they won't do that in college either. Because that's not who you are. You know that you don't know. You know that you don't know everything. Teaching doesn't mean I know everything. It means I know more, but I have to keep learning. It's not like I can just be like, oh, I know everything. I passed the test. Graduating high school, 8th grade, college, doesn't mean you know everything. It doesn't mean you're better than everyone else. What it means is that you paid a lot of money for a place to give you a piece of paper that says that now is your time to get real world training. So say you want to be a nurse, you get your degree from UNH as a nurse. When you get out of UNH, That degree doesn't give you anything other than permission to practice being a nurse. Because you can be a nurse for 20 years and still see something new. It's just practicing. You're just getting better and better at it. You're not finished. Political science, education, dancing, theater, you're not perfect. Lin-Manuel still practices, still writes, still tweaks, still fails. He's not perfect. Now, is he better than I am? Probably, maybe. At that stuff. I bet I could beat him in the whole singing, country road. I think I'd take him down on that one. But other than that, I bet he'd win. It doesn't matter. I have things I'm passionate for. He has things he's passionate for, but we still learn. It's not like I wake up every day going, I know every piece of history ever. No. Now, I think some of you guys, when I was teaching, you probably thought that. But I don't. I never will stop learning. I'm proud of you guys. Some of you, I saw in 5th grade, 4th grade, all the way through, now you're graduating. And I know some of you have had a rough time. You've moved away. You've left friends. You stay in communication with some of the friends, but not all of the friends. You've changed schools multiple times. You've changed ideas of what you want to be when you grow up. You've changed concepts of how you're going to do that. Your family dynamic has changed. Families have broken up. Families have gotten together. There's been new family members added. All of that. But you know what? It hasn't changed. Here's the thing that hasn't changed. You're special. From the day you were born to the day you die, you're special. And every day, you want to look for one thing. It's the human nature of it all. You want to look for your place in the world. Okay? You want to know where you fit, where you belong. You want to know if you're in the history book, teaching the history book. You want to know if you're stealing the history book. You want to know, are you a footnote? Are you a chapter? Or are you just somebody in the background who's making sure that history happens? Because it isn't JFK or Lincoln or Grant or Truman or FDR or Reagan or Clinton or Obama. Those men, sorry, no women, for this analogy, those men ran the free world. They have 300 members of Congress behind them. They have their spouses, they have their family, they have their friends, they have their people who got them elected, they have their state representatives, they have people who gave them money. They have people everywhere supporting them. You can be one of those people and still matter in this world. Don't feel like you have to be somebody who has to be in a chapter. Be a footnote, be a contributor, be somebody. Because that's all it's about. So, happy graduation. And be safe. And no matter what anyone else tells you, mostly if they're negative, what you say, what you do, who you are matters. Not just to me, not to your parents. I mean, that's the answer, right? You matter to history itself. Without you, this world would be different. And though some people say it's not great, it'd be a lot worse without you.